Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 15 Pro and compare it against the iPhone 15 Pro Max and see which particular iPhone is the better one for you. Now, I will definitely tell you between both these devices, there isn't really one that's like the significantly better one in every single way. I definitely do think both these devices do a really good job at a majority of things you throw at. And the similarity, there's so many more similarities between these two devices than there are differences. So I would hate for you to go ahead and buy a phone depending on one of these and just thinking about like, oh, what one is way better than the other one. It really just comes down to the size. Now, there's some advantages for going up to the 15 Pro Max, but there's also some advantages of going down to a 15 Pro as well. So we'll talk about that throughout this whole entire video. First things first, if you want to go and pick up either one of these particular iPhones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular iPhones, the iPhone 15 Pro, which is actually my current main phone that I use on an everyday basis, this phone on the front has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display, and it is a very good looking panel. You have the dynamic island, and it's by far one of the best panels that Apple's ever made. It's a ProMotion display, it gets very, very bright. It's a wonderful panel, it looks so beautiful, and there's really not that much to hate on here. I really do feel like Apple did a tremendous job with this particular device, and if I'm going to go through and buy a particular phone, and the fact that I've been using this phone for the last bit of time, like it's a very good device, and I'm a massive fan of this device when it comes down to it. With the iPhone 15 Pro Max, this is a little bit of a different panel. It's a bigger size display. It's 6.7 inches, but it's still a Super Retina XDR display. It's a ProMotion display as well, so both of them have the exact same capability here. The big thing to keep in mind here is that it is a way bigger size phone than the iPhone 15 Pro. So it's not just like a little bit bigger, it is noticeably bigger, and I would hate for you to go ahead and buy a phone like this if you're expecting it to go ahead and basically still perform very well, or if you have small hands, a phone like this is going to be kind of overkill for some people. So once again, I would hate for you to go and buy a phone like this and have it kind of, performing if it doesn't, fit comfortably in your hand. So I'd recommend just testing it out. See if like an iPhone 15 Pro Max is good in your hand. Other than that, both are very good panels. You are getting flat sides on both of them, non-reflective sides this time, but they still look great. And you're still getting USB Type-C ports on the bottom of both these particular phones, which I like a lot. I love having USB-C, and it is easily, again, one of my most favorite things going on for this particular device. To be honest, I've been using USB-C on both of my phones like crazy, and it has been my go-to thing probably for the last for the last bit of time now, which is actually pretty crazy. In fact, most of the time I'm recording audio nowadays, if I'm on the go, I'm usually plugging it in inside of my iPhone, and rather than plugging it into my MacBook, because it's so much easier just to record it from my phone. So I love having the capability of doing that straight from my iPhone and using the same accessories that my MacBook uses too. On the backside, frosted glass backs on both of these iPhones, which again is really nice. I love having frosted glass backs, and this in and of itself again is another very, very cool thing going on for this particular device when it comes down to it as well. They both have triple camera setups with LiDAR sensors. They both have wireless charging, IP certification, a lot of good overlap for sure. So definitely on the exterior, the big thing here is the size. But the price tag is also a little bit different. Before, there was like a $100 price tag difference. Nowadays, there's actually a $200 difference from the price. So this could be a pretty big turnoff for some people. If you're wanting to go and buy a phone that's significantly cheaper, well, it might make more sense to go and buy something like an iPhone 15 Pro, which is going to be a couple $100 cheaper than an iPhone 15 Pro. So if you're trying to go from the Pro Max to the Pro, just keep in mind that you are going to be getting that cheaper iPhone instead of something like the 15 Pro than the 15 Pro Max. And that's going to trickle down in the used market prices and everything like that. So once again, that in and of itself is another very, very big thing to kind of keep in mind here as well. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. Now on top of that, when it comes down to the other side of things, this particular iPhone, with both of them are still giving you very good cameras. They're wide cameras, ultra-wide cameras, and telephoto lenses. And this in and of itself is another very, very big thing going on here. And personally for me, if I'm going through and if I'm getting a certain device, I love the fact that these types of devices are giving me very good capable cameras. And I will tell you without a doubt, this is by far one of the biggest things to keep in mind here. Personally for me, these cameras are very good. They're very wonderful. And they are easily probably some of the best type of cameras you can buy instead of a smartphone. They're not going to be perfect or anything, but I do think for an everyday phone, these things are very solid, right? These things have so much capability inside of them, and I will tell you, in my personal opinion, they are very good type of cameras. They get 4K 60 on the front and the back. You have ProRes videos that you can film in as well. And without a doubt, in my personal opinion, these are very solid cameras. But the difference here is that there's not that big of a difference between either one. They're basically the same type of camera. So like, just keep that in mind. You're still maintaining the LiDAR sensor too, which has its own capabilities. But I'll tell you my personal opinion, very good stuff. I'm a big fan of this particular camera set, and I still think they're very, very good when it comes down to it. So from that side, pretty much no differences. And the software side, there's going to be very little differences as well. There's not going to be any like big changes from the software from one phone to the other. They both have the exact same internals for the most part. So it's not like you're going to go from like an iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max and get a different software experience. It's going to be roughly around the same thing. So I think that's a very big thing to keep in mind. And I think that's actually a good thing because you're going to be able to get both these phones. And it's not like one device is going to be significantly worse or better than the other one. It's going to be the exact same thing because they have the same chipset and they have the same type of RAM inside of them as well. So that right there is another big thing to keep in mind. I will tell you though, the big advantage I would say for the 15 Pro Max comes down to the battery. You're going to be getting a much bigger sized battery inside of the 15 Pro Max than the iPhone 15 Pro. Now, although you're getting a bigger sized, display and you have more, more pixels to push inside of that particular display, so there's like more power you're, using for that particular device. I'll also tell you, you are getting a very, very good jump in battery life going from an iPhone 15 Pro to an iPhone 15 Pro Max. And that's just one of those things that kind of ends up happening. But historically, going from an iPhone 15 Pro going from an iPhone Pro to an iPhone Pro Max, historically, you've seen big jumps in battery. So it's not just like this generation is the first generation we saw this in. That's not the case. It's been like this basically since day one, since the 10S and 10S Max. So even with the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus back in the day too. So that's just, again, one of those kind of minor things to keep in mind there as well. Now, finally, from the performance side, basically the exact same type of performance in both of these devices as well. So when it comes down to both of them, you're getting the Apple A17 Pro chip inside of it, and you're getting 8 gigabytes of RAM inside of both these devices as well. And the thing I'll definitely tell you from the RAM side, from the performance side, from everything, these phones are very good performing devices. There's very few things that I could look at both these devices at and be like super sad about or super upset about. These are very, very good performing devices from basically almost every single perspective you could look at. And that is something I actually like a lot about both these phones. And personally for me, I think if I'm looking at one of these devices, I would rather just go ahead and just buy a phone like the iPhone 15 Pro, just because it's giving me such great performance at such a smaller way I can hold it. But I still think in other ways, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, for media consumption, for some people, it might make more sense to go and have a bigger phone, which, could make more sense too. So in my personal opinion, both these phones are great. I will definitely tell you, there's not really one that I'd look at and be like, for the everyday person, this is the one that's the best one for, this is the best one for everyone. But I'll probably tell you, in my personal opinion, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is a significantly better device for probably everyone, but only it's better because if it fits in your hand, if that makes sense. The iPhone 15 Pro, I think, is the more comfortable one. For the everyday person, that's the one I would recommend people to buy. And that's the one where I'd look at and probably recommend every single person to go and pick up rather than the 15 Pro Max. So take that as you will. That's just my assumption, my ideas. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.